Moving along, International Relations and Cooperations Minister Naledi Pandor is expected to host her Ukrainian counterpart, Minister Dmytro Kuleba. Now, the two ministers will have political consultations in Pretoria later today. And this, of course, as the war between Russia and Ukraine continues to intensify. Kyiv has also been receiving a lot of military aid from the West. Khayelihle Khumalo joins us now in studio to further deliberate on what is to be expected. So, Khayelihle, good morning. So what's the key elements that we expect to come out of this particular visit?
Well, certainly, Sakina, it's quite a very important meeting. As we know that earlier this year, we saw President Cyril Ramaphosa going to Ukraine alongside several African heads of state, trying to call for a de-escalation, but also emphasizing the very far-reaching implications of this war when it comes to the continent. You look at the issue of food insecurity, but also just the energy prices, at times, really just causing the massive, the cost of living crisis. But also we do know that South Africa has been very clear in defending its non-aligned position, not a very popular decision, especially in the Western quarters. And in some instances, we saw the Ukrainian ambassador Abravidova saying that it's so unacceptable to have South Africa having such a position, a country that used to have apartheid and all kinds of religious things, and really just the international solidarity that we saw. So it's going to be a very important time. South Africa still regards Ukraine as a very important partner. A lot of, ministers, some of them receive military training as freedom fighters in Odessa. So that's nostalgia.
So this, of course, this visit comes at a time when the world seems to be squarely focused on what's happening in the Middle East. Is this, some would perhaps think, an effort to make sure that we don't forget about the conflict that is currently raging in the Ukraine between them and Russia?
Well, very much so, Sakin, especially because President Zelensky said what's happening in the Middle East really is a distraction, especially because, you look at the context of the West, how a lot of artillery, the armaments have been given to Ukraine. So especially from the US, we saw how divided the Congress was. So he raised concern about what's happening in the Middle East, saying really it doesn't bode well for Ukraine, but also each and every single day calling on the international community to focus on their plight as they fight for their territories.
So then, of course, what time is this particular engagement kicking off, and when can we expect to hear from the two ministers?
So the political consultation between Minister Pandor and Minister Kuleba will start around 10:30, and obviously there's a great deal of expectation in terms of the way forward as far as the African Peace Mission is concerned, in terms of whether are we likely to see the second phase, especially because, Minister Pandor is very optimistic that it was a very successful peace mission, notwithstanding some challenges where they said there won't be cessation of hostilities as long as the Russian troops are right in Ukraine. So there's quite a lot that the two leaders will have to look into, but also for Ukraine really to try and galvanize support within the African continent.
Khayelihle Khumalo, thank you so much for stopping by and engaging us in terms of what's to come later when Minister Naledi Pandor meets with her Ukrainian counterpart.